All right.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for your two-timing dame, Skinny. You ought to tell her to write home more often.
Oh, poor little.
All right, where were we? Okay.
You got beat up by a girl.
Oh man, that sucked.
Just
All right.
run back home to Daddy, shall I?
Should have left it alone, Nikki. This ain't the old day.
That's not a coincidence, by the way. All right. Purify water. There we go.
Time for you to.
There we go. All right.
Well, so much for Skinny Malone. Think he's lighter or heavier with all those holes?
Have I heard of the newest company mistake by Asus? Their new laptop has an Intel Core Ryzen 9 7845HX CPU.
When I tell them their daughter bit the big one. Well, at least the case is closed. Let's get out of here. There's a service ladder that should take us right to the...
That was not a coincidence, by the way, my man. That was definitely not a coincidence. The subject matter you and I were talking about, and then my feed gets just all of a sudden, yeah, no, that's not a coincidence. So, sorry about the video quality, because I'm thinking that might have been something to do with it, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Yeah, I'm one of these type of people that, you know, I tend to think about different things in a different way, and I guess you could say conspiracy theorist, you know. It's the government. Now you're joking at YouTube. Yeah, you know, they probably don't like what I'm talking about or what you and I are talking about. So, but you know, the thing is it's not the first time I've had the issue with the Back Bay here, though. That's the other thing. You know, keep that in mind. It's not the first time I've had that problem. Okay, there we go. You know, but it tends to be one of those things where YouTube will pull the freaking feed if they don't like what I'm talking about sometimes. I think they do. But then again, you know, people call that kind of thinking, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you know, you know, that's a conspiracy theory. You know what it was called before it was conspiracy theorist, you know, to think independently? It was called thinking independently. Having independent thought and an opinion. That's what it was called. You know, everything nowadays is a conspiracy theory. It's like, give me a break. America, the land of the free. Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it. You know.
Look at that Commonwealth sky. Never thought anything so naturally ominous could end up looking so inviting. Thanks for getting me out. How did you know where to find me, anyway? Not many people knew where I went.
I have ways.
I have my ways.
Really? Now, I want you to come...
Meet you there.
I'll meet you there.
See you in Diamond City.
Right, there we go. And I was hoping to do a majority of this in one video, but no, YouTube had other plans apparently. All right, so, but yeah, now Hubris Comics. Last time I went in here, it ended up. Last time I went in here on live stream anyway, it ended up crashing as well. So, yeah, let's try to avoid that. And so. You were thinking since if you buy a game, you don't own it, that means piracy shouldn't count as stealing. According to the way they've got things set up right now, yeah, you buy a game, you technically don't own it. I mean, yeah. They can't have it both ways. That's the issue. They want it both ways. They want it to where they say, "Oh, you're just leasing the game. We've licensed it to you." Really? I have a physical copy of this game. That means I don't own it? Really? Oh, okay. You know. But yeah, you're right. I mean, they Yeah. So yeah, pirated games. Yeah. Well, why are you so worried about somebody pirating your game if technically nobody owns it? That to me is just stupid. You know, it's just another way for them to screw over gamers. That's all there is to it. That's what I feel. It's just another way for them to screw over gamers, man. Wow. Okay. Now, get it, dog meat. Get it. There we go. All right. So, ooh, right away. Nice. There are some physical games where in the box is only a code for the digital version. Yeah, I've seen that before too, which I don't agree with. If you're going to sell a physical copy of the game, sell a physical copy. Why does it have to be, you know, why do you want to make it more difficult, you know? That's like, I don't get it. It's all the sly little tricks they do in order to make you understand that you are the consumer. You do as you're told.
Commonwealth's a dangerous place. Lucky you're near the Great Green Zoo.
That's all there is to it. We're gonna serve this to you, and you're gonna like it. Even if you don't like it, you're still gonna like it because it's the only thing you're gonna get. That's the way it is.
You're listening, Danny.
So,
Open the gates.
all right, let's go in here. There we are. I saw a comment pop up, but I don't see it on here. What the hell? Hold on a sec. Let me go to my settings real quick. Let me see if I can. Give me one moment. Let me go to advanced settings. Let me go to there. Okay. Okay, there it is. Yeah. They want to make reselling impossible so they make more money. Yeah, that's true. They do. So, apologies about the blue screen, but I mean, for Fallout 4, this setup's not too bad. That way I can see your comment without having to keep looking back at my my phone.
Anyone is
Right.
one
The
of
railroad
those
fights against the
things.
Institute.
It's that
If you can find it.
So, but yeah, it's true. They do. They want to make more money.
Oh, wow. Good talk.
But the problem with most games nowadays that I've seen
That's a fairy tale, man.
is that most people don't want to resell their games. Not entirely true for everybody, but most people like myself, I don't want to resell my games. I've lost them so many times, and I've put so much effort into getting them back. Like, why would I ever want to, even the hard copies, why do I want to sell them? Again, this is like what is this, like the third or fourth set of games I've had to buy for PS4 just because of the way my life worked out and different problems along the way of losing stuff.
Ellie?
So,
Are you
you know.
here?
Nick? Oh, God. It's really you.
Well, it's hard to mistake this mug for anyone else.
but
You keep laughing at death. Someday, death's gonna laugh back.
Not as long as I
a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people nowadays,
You saved
they're
Nick, this agency, and my job. Thank you.
they're also there's also infinite consumers, so once enough people buy the game where there won't be any more people able to go buy it. Oh yeah, they do want,
Happy to do it.
Yeah? I don't
they
know
do
how you
they do
found
want
them.
that. They do want
Yeah?
infinite
Is it right
consumers,
here?
but the problem is
No.
that
Whoa.
not everybody
One? All right, let's get down to business. Take a seat.
not everybody's into video games. for one.
You're trying to
A lot more
find
people have gotten
someone
into it
you're
in
not
recent
missing.
years, but
Devil is in the
it's not.
details. Tell me every.
We're looking for my baby.
Good question. What else
It's
can
not
you
one of
tell me?
those mediums
looking for
or
my
one of those
baby,
markets where
Sean.
they're gonna.
Good question.
Okay, I hit that
Anything else
twice.
you remember?
I didn't mean to. I was just okay.
We
Scrub
were
button
in
a
a
little
vault.
bit. There we are.
You were on ice. Anything else?
There was a man and a woman.
So we're talking a small team.
Not everyone has internet. Yeah, you're right.
So you think this?
Well, they're the boogie. Easy to see why. Then you got the new.
And,
First of all,
you know, back
no one
before the
knows
internet
why they
was
do it.
mandatory to
Their
play
plan is-
games, you
Either
know,
way,
You're right.
you know, they had to.
one of them came right up to me.
Wait.
No.
They had to
Never said their
launch. And
names.
you and I talked about this before, my man. They had to launch games in a state where they were playable.
Bald head, scar, reputation.
Now they
dangerous
can-
mercenary.
And he
They
bought
can
a
launch
house here in
games in a
town,
broken
right?
state and be
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
that's
we'll
right.
fix it
The
later."
house in the-
Maybe it's another kidnapping.
Yeah. Both of them, Van. Let's you and I.
Security
But
doesn't really go
back,
to that
like,
part
you
of
know,
town, but-
like back in the PlayStation 2 days, or even before that, you know, with PlayStation 2, you couldn't release a game in a broken state and expect the consumers to buy it and think it was great. Games like Mario 64 was impossible to update. Yeah, exactly. You know, hell, even like PS1 or, you know, Sega. You know, I mean, it's called the Mega Drive over there in Europe, but it's the Sega Genesis for us in the States. Don't ask me why. It's a marketing thing. You know.
Bad news. He's more
But,
than just a mercenary.
And then, of course, NES, Super Nintendo as well. You know, like all those games, man. Even Atari way back.
Because they're all dead.
You know, they could not release them in a broken, buggy state. So, and they had to make sure they were as good as possible when they sent them out the door.
Well, leading a small team to kidnap.
But
a
now
baby
it's
and
totally
leaving one of the
flipped.
parents alive for later. Not many mercs in the Commonwealth can pull that off.
You know, and it's bullshit in my opinion. It really is. It's bullshit because they should not get away with launching broken games that they have to fix later and expect you to pay $60 to $80 for it. You know, if I'm going to spend $60 on a game, it better be tight and right. You know what I mean?
Keep an eye out, will you?
It makes me wonder if they've even, you know, tested the damn things before they send them out the door sometimes.
That's one heck of a lock. Got something to hide, Kellogg? Why don't you give it a try?
Oh, I'm definitely not going to be able to
Won't be
unlock
able to
that.
pick this. Hey, Valentine.
We can't get through that door. No
Well,
luck?
piracy back then was easier than today. It wasn't super easy, so the reason they say internet is required for
See that platform in
disc
the
games
distance?
to prevent,
The city
yeah,
entrance?
prevent piracy.
That's
Yeah.
the elevator to the mayor's office.
Oh yeah,
Why don't you go ask
that's
her
one
I'm
way they're
there.
doing it.
I'll stay here and see if I can jimmy this lock.
That's one way they're doing it, but you know they're going so far as to, you know, do all this, and it's like, I mean, I understand why, because, you know, they want to make money off their game. Don't get me wrong. And if I was, you know, if I was running a game studio, trying to make games as best I can, and send them out to the public for, you know, sell, I'd want to make a return on my investment, no doubt, right? You know, because games aren't cheap to make. They aren't.
Hey. Wait there.
But, you know, when you have to implement so many different things just to make sure that your game's not pirated, to the point where, you know, it breaks your game, like it's like, really? See, me personally, I'd be like, you know what, go ahead and pirate my game. Go ahead. Why not?
Why doesn't the mayor come out of his office, huh? He's afraid of talking to the press? I bet if I said I was with the Institute, he'd come running.
You ever think maybe
Because
you
what
could
I
get
would
a
do-
man's attention easier if you use softer words, honey? Maybe shout a little less.
Oh, that reminds me of this article I'm writing about the mayor.
Yeah, it is smarter to make games which don't need internet. Yeah.
Who it is?
Millions of
brings you
people
to the mayor's
who game
office,
but
huh?
don't have internet. Yeah.
I'm trying to track down a man named Kellogg.
Interesting.
If you are done crowding the reception area,
It would be
Miss
smarter,
Piper,
actually.
the mayor needs to
And
have
not only
time
that,
for
but
more
it would force game
responsible
studios to
citizens.
actually, like I said, make a
I was
game
just
that's not
leaving
broken and
anyway.
busted.
The
You wouldn't
mayor's
need
receiving visitors
you wouldn't
as
need
long as
major
they aren't
updates.
members of-
Hey, Geneva.
Did you need something else?
I need to talk to someone about Kellogg's old house in the West Stands.
Mr. Kellogg's residence? He left town a while ago. We foreclosed on the property.
That's the
and
untapped
locked it.
market.
If there was
Yeah,
something belonging to the man that you have a claim on,
make
you
it
could ask
easily.
the mayor to hear you out.
Yeah,
No guarantees.
I agree with that. It is an untapped market.
Come on, can't you help me yourself?
And if I could,
Maybe we can reach an agreement.
a gift? Oh, there I go.
Cool. Just easier to bribe her. I'm pretty sure Desdemona would do that. So, but yeah, it is an untapped market, nowadays, because there are plenty of people that don't have internet still yet, and and that's the other thing is like, it's like, oh, this game is really great, but you got to have internet for it because you need 20 updates for it before it gets good. It's like, why? It's like you look at if you go actually were to go and
Come on.
look at your update list for just one game that you play that requires internet to update it, and you look at actually how many updates it has. Like let's say for example you play a new game comes out and it's the just think release a game for like $4 which doesn't need internet, and then that in theory would be millions of dollars for you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The big draw of it would be the fact that it doesn't need internet.
Got the key? All right, let's head in.
There'd be people that would be like, oh, this is a pretty great game. Oh,
Let's
when's
take
the
a look
update
around.
coming? And then,
Kellogg must have left something.
they see that, no, it doesn't have an update button,
Well,
like at all,
that's one way to hide it.
But yeah, that would be, a great way to do that.
All of a Merc's favorite things.
Gwyneth Stout beer, 44 caliber bullets, cigars, San Francisco
Yeah,
sunlights.
we'll take the Gwyneth Stout. Why not?
Interesting brand. Won't lead us anywhere on its own, though.
I wonder if dog meat.
Say, that's not a bad... Well,
Right?
before you...
Goodbye, Nick.
Hopefully not forever. Good luck.
Yep. Okay. So we advanced pretty far into the story at this point. Now we just need to go and beat the crap out of Kellogg. Right. Yeah, we'll grab one of those. Why not? Don't really need much. Oh yeah, we need the healing supplies, but Nuka cherry. There we go. Yeah, we need healing supplies. We'll take the beer as well. Okay. Uh-huh. Right. Oh, more 10 moment rounds. Awesome. That reminds me of the Matrix chair. The chair in the Matrix, man. I swear that does. It reminds me of it. Every single time I see it. But yeah, you're right. You are right about that. As, it would be a market that, a lot of people aren't really focusing on at the moment. So, some games are frustrating as you played Heart of Iron 4 about an hour ago. You were right in front of Moscow and somehow like 500 Soviet divisions spawned in. Ooh, dude, that sucks.